up guys, it's Ben from Motorsport and Performance. You've seen me a couple of times now and I keep promising to get in videos, so here I am today. I thought that this particular car were as good as any to introduce you to and get to know me a little bit more. So this car is a really good customer of ours, Tom. So we've been working with him for a couple of years on his car now. It's already pretty epic. So this is not exactly a full build from start to finish for you. It's more of a taking what we've built already and making it even better. So where to start? We've not exactly left under the bonnet alone. This is currently running a stock Gen 2 Coyote engine with what happens to be Jordan's intake manifold off of the Supercharged GT 350 that you saw last week, having its diff installed. This is the same setup that it was running on the GT 350R. We took off of that car to install a supercharger, and Tom bought all of the parts. So it's got the same GLT intake that you will have seen us install on the GT 350R last year sometime. We did make a video about that as well. And this car's currently running 427 wheel horsepower through an automatic transmission. So it's already a pretty mega build, a mega car. Tom's been enjoying driving it now for the last 12-18 months. It drives perfectly, but it's time to take it that next step. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to introduce you to Tom's new power. Moving on to the underside of the car and where we're at with it so far. We've got a Steeder 4-point K brace on here, so this stiffens up the front suspension, ties everything together. Full Kooks headers, give it a free-flowing exhaust, maximise power. We've got A-frame braces, so these are IRS braces that basically attach the chassis, which is what you're sat on, and the subframe, which is what the chassis is sat on, together. Any bracing back here is going to help. Everybody knows what Mustangs are like, and they are renowned for being unstable in the corners, if you like. Obviously, when they introduced the S550, they introduced it with the full IRS rear suspension, so independent rear suspension. The work that we've been doing back here mainly has been just about enhancing that further, turning this car into more of a sports car than a GT car. So solid adjustable toe links, and then the full billet vertical links with Delrin bushes in them. Again, it's all just about tying it all together. This car came to us, in fact, with Pettis coilovers on it. Something that we see happen all the time in this market is people will put coilovers onto an otherwise stock suspension. It's a lot to ask of a set of coilovers, is to get a car like this that's not really designed to perform well in corners. It's a lot to ask of just coilovers, basically. So this car, it's got roll bars on it. We've added the adjustable drop link so that we can get the correct angle on the roll bars, the correct tension on the bushes. Basically, we've just been working towards getting this car as stable as we possibly can get it in the corners. It's quite literally a race-winning formula. So Steeder do take their cars racing. They've won races with these exact parts fitted onto them, and yeah, I mean, you know, the difference that it makes to them is phenomenal. You really have to experience it to know. So wheels. There's no point doing all that work with suspension if you're not going to increase the size of the tyre contact area, which is basically this section of tyre that sits on the road when the car's on the floor. It's alright getting your suspension working, but if this thing ain't going to stay on the road when you're pushing it in the corners because your tyres are too small, too thin, or even the wrong tyres, then any effort that you put into the chassis is wasted. So for this car, which has a Velgen Split 5 in bronze, which you've seen our car, I think, sets off the black perfectly. It's bronze is the new black. You also might notice that behind them we're running a DBA 2-piece disc and HPS, so that's high performance street pad, all inside of these are stock Brembo calipers, so these calipers actually came on the car. So then the calipers got painted by Voodoo Paintworks, who we work with quite closely and is becoming a good friend of ours. So epic colour, and you'll see that we've tried to keep in with this this colour combination as well further into the car shot. We normally skip this step and start showing you everything we've done afterwards, but on this particular one, which personally is certainly my favourite so far. So this is a Gen 4 Whipple Supercharger that has now been discontinued, and it's been finished in this red, especially for Tom. This is my favourite setup. Kind of sad to see it go. You'll be seeing the Gen 5s now moving forward. So this is kind of a good one to see go out, I suppose, go out with a bang. So this is a Stage 2 kit, but you've already seen that the car's got headers on it. So that's our Stage 2.5 Whipple. We're not stopping there though. Tom wants to jump straight in the deep end. As soon as this is all up and running as Stage 2.5, we'll be pulling the injectors back out of it, the pulley off of it, putting a new belt, new injectors, new fuel pump, all onto this supercharger, and Tom's going straight up to Stage 4. So we're expecting to see somewhere in the range of about 860 to 890 bhp out of this car when it's done. So it's going to be pretty mega. Tom's excited, we're excited. In support of that power output, we're going to do a few engine upgrades as well. So we've got all Modular Motorsports Racing engine parts. These are timing chain arms, timing chain guides, oil pump gear. So for those of you that don't know, these components from the factory are actually what the Americans would call powdered metal, so cast, and in applications above 650 horsepower they are susceptible to fail. That's not to say they will fail, but if you don't change them and it does fail, then these will at that stage look like a cheap investment. So yeah, same goes for the crank gear. So again, this is from the factory powdered metal. These are billet. This particular one from Modular Motorsports Racing is billet. These are susceptible to shear teeth in high power applications, and so, you know, again, just that little bit of insurance. Make sure that you're not going to be having any severe engine failures later on down the line and that big expensive bill. Timing chain tensioners. These are billet tensioners from MMR, the latest version of them from them. Secondary chain guides, so these are plastic from the factory, not great in high power applications, as you can imagine, and also plastic components don't do well when you run in things like E85 race fuel. It all gets into the oil and it starts to eat away at the properties of plastic and make them susceptible to crack, which we've actually seen. Uprated secondary chains, timing chains, and this is a timing chain tensioner from Modular Motorsports Racing, tensioner bracket. So what this does is the factory tensioner tensions the chain effectively upside down, so it tensions it on the tight side rather than the stretch side. This, what it does is it allows you to turn the tensioner upside down. It's tensioning the chain correctly, and Modular Motorsports Racing assure us that in really high boost applications, cam timing, my left hand side bank of cylinders can actually creep by up to 5 degrees because of that chain is tensioned from factory. So a well worthwhile upgrade whilst you're in there. And all these components can get fitted at the same time as the oil pump and crank gear, because obviously it all comes off to fit those parts. So yeah, that's these bits. That isn't where this build's stopping, so we've got loads of other bits lined up, visuals, carbon fibre. We're really excited to bring it together. This should be an exciting car for Tom through 2021, and yeah, so I'm going to make a start at taking it apart. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to make a bit of a series out of this build, so yeah, you know, check in next week or whatever and see this thing start coming back together again. Cheers.